Turns out what happens in Vegas shouldn't always stay in Vegas. We're recapping all of the top gaming stories from CES in This Week in Gaming. Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Thank you very much for joining me again. This is Aliside speaking, as always. Trying a little bit of a different environment to record in, a little more consistent lighting, hopefully. So bear with me if anything goes wrong. So as you may or may not know, this past week we had the Consumer Electronics Show take place in Las Vegas, and that's where the majority of my stories are coming from this week, so we're going to be doing a kind of a recap of all the gaming-related stuff that came out of there. CES isn't always the best place to garner gaming-related stories, but occasionally there's some interesting stuff that comes out of it, and it's usually technology, hardware-related, not always software-related. But still, may be of interest to you, so let's get into it. So the top story for me that came out of CES was the PlayStation Now service. And if you haven't heard about the PlayStation Now service, it's basically going to be Netflix for gaming. You're going to be able to stream games, and initially it's going to be to the PS4 and the PS3 systems, but Sony's saying that they're going to be expanding the service to other platforms, including the Vita, and even non-Sony products like the Apple iPad and iPhone, and even smart televisions. So what do we know about the PlayStation Now service as of now? They gave us a lot of information about it, but there were still some questions that were left unanswered. So what we do know about it is that you'll be able to earn trophies like you do on PS3 or the PS4 service. Multiplayer will work perfectly fine, even against people that are running the disc format of the game. There haven't been any officially announced games for the service as it stands now, but what they were testing on the show floor was The Last of Us, God of War Ascension, and Beyond Two Souls. So I would imagine that at least those three games will be available at the outset, and I'm sure there will be a ton more that become available. Now there will be a subscription cost associated with this service, although we aren't quite sure what that will cost and what that'll even entail. My big question is whether that'll be related to your PS Plus subscription, since that already costs about $50 to $60 a year. Maybe it'll be at a discounted rate for those of us that already have that. My guess is it'll be some sort of subscription tier model, maybe, so you can use and access what content you like, or if you already have a PS Plus subscription. Hopefully we learn more about that. As for other questions that we still have floating around about the service, Sony stated that you should have at least a 5 megabit per second internet connection for this to run smoothly. That sounds like a very low estimation in my opinion, since cloud gaming hasn't really been tested in the home, at least to my knowledge. So I would like to see benchmarks for that. They were running pretty smoothly on the show floor, but we have no idea where the servers that they were using or the cloud was based. So it could have just been an artificial environment that was allowing them to run the game so smoothly. So the PlayStation Now service seems like a pretty cool idea to me anyway. Initially they're only going to be starting with PS3 titles, although I would love to see them expand into PS2 and PS1 era titles, because I would love to go back and play some of those older things on the big screen. Alright, now moving on. So my next story comes from Razer, the acclaimed PC gaming rig company, and they have a new concept out called Project Christine, which is basically a modular-based gaming PC build. So from my understanding, Christine looks like it's going to be working on a spine-like system, where your PC tower is basically going to be a spine with a bunch of input ports. And those ports are going to allow you to insert, mix and match all sorts of components that are all self-contained. And by self-contained, I mean they all contain the components, the cooling, the noise canceling, the stuff. This looks like a really great option for those of us that aren't too comfortable in building our own PC, at least with raw components. So all of these components, you're basically going to be able to mix and match, and the spine will allow you to just plug and play. Another interesting component to this story is the likelihood of a subscription service where you will be able to upgrade your components on a monthly or yearly basis for whatever amount of money. This hasn't been confirmed yet, but I think it would be a pretty interesting idea. Say you shell out $60 a month or so, you won't always get a component each month, but every 3 or 4 months, once your money has accumulated, you'll get a new component for your computer, so you're always certain that it will be up to date and running all the latest and greatest video cards and all that fun stuff. It'd basically be like a finance system, so you're paying towards new components that all you gotta do is swap them in. So I think that's also a great idea. It might simplify things a little bit for those of us that aren't too keen on building our own rigs, at least from the raw components. So where Razer's trying to simplify things, it seems that Gabe Newell and Valve have sort of muddied their initial thoughts on the Steam Machine. So Gabe Newell and Valve have finally announced officially the Steam Machine platform, which is designed to bring PC gaming experience straight into your living room. He revealed a total of 13 Steam Machines, believe it or not, and they're all built by different companies that are supporting the platform. These Steam machines will be running the Steam operating system, which is Linux-based, and one of them, called the Bolt 2, will actually be running the Steam OS in addition to Windows 7, so I think it's going to be some sort of partitioning going on there. Me personally, I can't really see the allure of a Steam machine, especially one that runs on Linux, since according to a couple sources that I looked into, there's only 250 or so Linux-compatible games on Steam right now, so that's kind of limiting to the broader library of Steam. Now, the machines that they revealed ranged quite a bit in cost, anywhere from about $1,600 all the way up to $6,000. So the cost range is pretty out there, as you can tell. So I think Valve has a lot more work to do on these Steam machines, especially if they plan on it being competitive in the gaming market. They've said that they don't want it to compete directly with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and Nintendo's probably way out there in their minds. But they want it to be more of basically a PC contender. So those gamers that want a hot rod rig that can run pretty much anything. Now, for the pricing scheme that they have set up right now and the cost of some of the machines that they showed off, you can build a pretty decent rig, if not the best rig, for $1,800 or so, which is what a couple of the machines started at base. So I think they've got a long way to go with this concept, at least if they want it to be competitive in the gaming PC market, since there's already a bunch of other companies that have pre-configured designs that run around that price range or even less in some cases. So I think that about covers what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for joining me again. As always, I do appreciate it very much. If this is the first time that you're joining me for some gaming-related news in this week, please be sure to subscribe. I always update with the news on weekends, and I intermingle some other content during the week when I get around to working on it. Most notably of late was my top 5 games of 2013. It was quite an unconventional list, so be sure you go check that out. So thanks again for joining me. This has been Alicide, and this has been your Week in Gaming. See you next time.